Hey, what's up guys? Bryan here, and today I want to talk to you about a particular tune which I really like, and it was one of the so-called converter for me, which is to say that it really converted me to devote my time and energy to studying and listening to jazz. The name of the tune is called Never Will I Marry, and the version that I am going to talk about today is by Nancy Wilson, featuring Canonball Adderley on saxophone. I'm just going to talk through some of the stuff that happens in the solo, so please have a listen to the tune, and I'm going to identify some of the stuff that Canonball does. Why might we want to do that? Well, I think it's a very good idea to identify stuff that you like, or even stuff that you don't like. So we're doing a little bit of analytical work here, but ultimately it's to do with your awareness of what's happening in the tune. And you might also, in the process of doing so, answer the question of what you actually like and what you actually don't like, and why is that? How we're going to do that? Well, usually I would transcribe the whole thing and put it down on paper in notation form, not tabs, because I want to actually see the particular rhythms and the particular note choices, so the names of the notes against each chord. So we can really see what's happening and the concepts behind it, as well as you can zoom in and zoom out, meaning that when you zoom in, you can analyze each note against each chord, what particular rhythms and all of that. But when you zoom out, you see the whole thing as a bigger picture. In this particular solo, it's very short, probably less than a minute or around a minute or so. It's a very good idea to see it as a full script almost, and see how the soloist can start, where the climax or the build-ups are, and then how to end it as well. Okay, so let's get to it. I've written down here, in bar 1 to 6, so the first bit of the solo, if you look at the score, you can find many dotted crotchets, and that's the essence of syncopation and the feeling of swing. 1, 2, 3, 4, da, 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 da. 1, 2, 3. In the next bit, bar 7 to 8, does a long run of 8th notes, so quavered notes, which is another strong feature of jazz. It's almost, an endless string of notes. And at that tempo, never, never will I marry, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. When you split that into subdivisions of 2 notes per beat, you can get 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and the line of notes goes like. Okay, added a little triplet at the end of it. So that was only 2 bars, but that's it really caught my attention, and it'll probably catch other people's attention too. Bars 11 to 12 are essentially bebop phrases. So obviously there's the influence of the bebop players like Charlie Parker. The 2/5 into the E minor, so F sharp half diminished, B7, E minor. Just in those 2 bars, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. He's playing. There's some slurs to it, to be precise, almost like. On the E minor. It's just full of language like that, which is very distinctive to jazz. Syncopation, like playing on the upbeats, on the 3 and the 4 and. Next, we've got bar 13 to 16. It actually quotes the melody in that after all of that soloing, there's a bit of familiarity. Okay, when you play the original melody of the tune, it's almost like an embellishment of it, as if it was an instrumental version of the song. Okay, so what I mean by that is, okay, that bit, the original melody is like, but it's just added into it. And this also links in with the idea of rhythmic improvisation. So thinking from a rhythmic point of view, a call and response theme. Can probably go on. And so on. Bar 17 to 20. Again, great pieces of language here. So it comes right after. Okay, two main things here I would probably pick out. You know, he probably knows it's coming to the end of the chorus, so that's probably where the climax is supposed to be. Okay, that on the B minor. Small trills like that, almost like semi-quavers. And obviously, on the E minor. And then finally, in the last 4 bars, bar 21 onwards, there's a great bit of sequencing of the scale going on here. Okay, again, some of that Parker kind of language. Triplets and slurs. So on the guitar, it would be hammer-ons. I would say kind of G major scale over here. Okay. You can really learn a lot about how to use sequencing. Maybe you've practiced sequencing scales before. Sequence of 3 or sequence of 4. But you're not sure really how to use it or how to put it in context, because in a blues context, it'll be different. In a kind of a pop context, it'll be different. In rock and metal, certainly, that'll be different. But in a jazz context, you know, very rarely do people go all out with the sequencing. It's only parts of it. You need to know where to leave space and when to stop. So in conclusion, if you look at the density of the notes, so how many notes that he's actually playing, is it a long string of notes or is it just long notes, like fewer but longer notes? And if you look at the note values as well, so are they semi-quaver runs, or are they triplets, or are they quaver runs? He's very careful when choosing what to play, manipulating the chord changes. And that is, I would say, one of the hardest things to do when it comes to playing jazz, but that's also kind of the goal of playing jazz, is to manipulate through the changes and create interesting lines over more challenging and complex harmony. In this tune as well, if you look at the chords, you have 2 bars of C major, 2 bars of B minor. So that's a fairly That's a fairly good amount of space, as in the chords actually last quite a bit longer than when you look at the rest of it. You've got, 2 bars of F major, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Almost in the bridge section of the song, in the middle bit, the chords go a bit crazy, right? 2 chords per bar with key change and modulation in it. But like my guitar teacher at college, he was like, this is free jazz to him, as in the freedom is so important. Being free, being able to improvise on the spot. A series of notes that go well with chords like that at that tempo is something that probably most people who are into jazz would like to be able to do. That's it for today. If you enjoyed this kind of solo analysis or transcription analysis, please let me know. If you've got anything that you'd like to share, then also comment down below or just direct message me. And I would say give it a listen, because it might just be the converter for you to step into the jazz world. Until next time, cheers.